Hey everybody, um, in today's video, I'm going to walk you through a professional AWS organization setup. You know, it'll kind of mimic the type used by most companies to secure and scale their cloud environments. Uh, I'll show you how to structure your OUs and apply SCPs, that enforce security and compliance. So to begin, first off, what is AWS Organizations? Um, AWS Organizations lets you manage multiple AWS accounts centrally. You can think of it like a service that gives you a fine-grained control over account access, service usage, billing. They're all compartmentalized. Uh, it's more kind of like a foundation for your multi-account strategy. Um, it separates environments like production, staging, security, dev, and test. So here in the management console, um, I'm gonna go into AWS Organizations. Let that load up, and then you can see all the different organization units that I have implemented. So I have the infrastructure OU, the sandbox OU, security OU, workloads, and then I have the management account, of course. Then just to begin here with the infrastructure OU, this OU holds accounts used for networking and infrastructure, like VPCs or like VPC peering, really, shared subnets, transit gateways, that kind of stuff. NAT devices would be in this, I guess, OU, but within the accounts in that OU. So the account in here would be, I have an account in here called the networking account, really. So this is where you create all those different services that I mentioned. Um, and then you might want to implement SCPs, or well, you should implement SCPs really at the OU level. So, um, so in this OU, so the policies here, because every policy that you implement at the OU level gets inherited by the accounts within that OU. So just to give you an example of how you might be want to implement such policies, um, I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now for the infrastructure OU. Um, the SCP here prevents application level services from being deployed, and keeping it infrastructure only, like I mentioned earlier. So a sample SCP which could be implemented on such an account would be something that kind of looks like this. So I could break this SCP into two parts, really. The first one, as you can see, it's named Allow Networking, and it's allowing certain actions on this account. So EC2, VPC, Network Manager, RAM, Route 53, logs, CloudWatch, and the resources star. And the second component here says deny compute services on Lambda, ECS, EKS, RDS, and on every resource. So in order to implement this, I'm just gonna copy this whole policy, and then I'll go back to the console here. Into policies, I'll attach a policy onto this OU, and then I'll create the policy, and then I'll call this network account deny allow SCP, and then I'll give it a description of this policy denies some services and allows some services within this account. Something a little bit descriptive. So here is where you actually have the statement. So I will highlight this, delete it. I'll paste my new statement in here, and then um, just click on create policy. And then once it's created, I can go back to the OUs. I'll click on the OUs, click on the policy, and within the policies, I'll go to attach. And here's that SCP we just created. So I'll click on that and attach policy. And now this OU currently inherits that policy, and the subsequent accounts within that OU would have the same policy. So if I click on that, I can still go to policies here and attach explicitly the same policy that we created. So if I click on attach and find it right here, I can still attach that same policy to the account individually as well. So yeah, that's how you would on the console. I know that's a little cumbersome, but just for demonstration purposes, that's how you will manually attach a policy, which is what makes infrastructure as a code so great, because you don't have to do this manual labor per account. But um, for now, that's neither here nor there. We're just doing some console work. So if I go back to AWS accounts, I can give you somewhat of a rundown of the other accounts that I have currently within this organization setup. So for the sandbox OU, here really is where developers can test, ideas without affecting production, but still we still apply guardrails to this account, and these guardrails will really prevent developers from viewing things like billing. Really, it's not necessary for this account, so guardrails would usually prevent those type of services from being accessible here. But within this sandbox OU, we have two accounts here. It's kind of, I have a dev account and a test account. The policies which will be implemented on these accounts would kind of be similar. Again, there's certain things that developers don't have permission to do, so we really don't implement them on these accounts. Things like maybe even create user, but most things are allowed in these accounts. Just certain things are not, won't be allowed in this account. And then moving on to this security OU, here we will have accounts like the audit and the logging. Really, centralized login would be forwarded to this account, so we have one dashboard where we can view the logs for every different account, and if we need to make changes, we can trace which account through the account number, and then verify where this, if it's an issue, where this issue is coming from. Like I said, it's for centralized logging for services like CloudTrail, Config, and GuardDuty. We'll be able to send no logs to a S3 bucket within this account. And really, you don't want nobody spinning up EC2 instances here. So the policies and guardrails which will be implemented on this account will have those restrictions, using, like I said, the SCPs. So moving on, finally, here is where we're gonna have our workloads OU. Here we have our, sorry, I miscreated this account. This account needed to be somewhere, so I just gotta take that off. But here we would have a prod account and staging account. These are your business critical accounts. The SCPs here will allow all core services needed for running your workloads, such as EC2, Lambda, RDS, but we still block billing support and root actions, just to keep things secure and tamper-proof. So yeah, and especially your prod account, this is where you want the most care. You want to follow list privilege the most here. in this account. So a summary of just basically this whole issue with SCPs this here is that we need to follow the least privilege model. No, you only want to allow stuff that are necessary and explicitly deny anything that's risky in all these accounts because we're keeping security first. They're not really meant to manage user level permissions, these SCPs. That's what IAM roles are for and IAM policies are for. These SCPs are really just guardrails for OUs and accounts. Um, and some of these guardrails actually even override your identification and access management policy administration administrator access. So yeah, so that's pretty much a comprehensive setup. Then you also have this management account, which where you manage, really you log in, you assume a role, and then you can manage the other accounts using that role. But yeah, this is pretty much how most companies would have it set up. Now, most companies would have other accounts, but these are like the core and best way that I can personally explain to you on how like workloads are kind of separated from each other and making sure that we can scale and um, also have a centralized logging dashboard and also have a centralized billing dashboard such that we know exactly what's going on where at all times. So yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you within the next video.